Okie doke. Hi, Mina.
Hello, so nice to see you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah. So good to see you. And for those who do not know Mina, Mina is an incredibly talented, funny stand-up comedian, and I believe we met at one of Sugar Mouse mics.
We definitely met at Women's Comedy Collective. We probably met at the Whiskey Cellar too,
That,
because
that might be the
I,
first
I
time.
love your set and I've seen your set, and you produced a show
Exactly.
that
And
I was on recently.
exactly.
You're,
Because I
every,
was
you're everywhere.
oh, I'm not everywhere. I'm the little engine that could. I'm like trying.
Me
But
too.
anyway, so you have very impressive credits. You know, New York Comedy Festival, Don't Tell Mama. That one, I don't know. I'm trying to get in. Also Montreal Fringe Festival. So how long have you been doing this? And I know this is your second shot at middle age, but like,
It
tell me.
is my second shot. I'm taking my shot. So I've been doing this officially 30 years. My first open mic was in Amsterdam in my 20s. And that was a fun story because my dad is Dutch. So I was living there, learning Dutch, staying with relatives, and I'm an actor. So I wanted to perform, and English is very commonly spoken in Holland.
Mhm.
So I went to an open mic. There was no stand-up tradition there at the time. Now stand-up is really big in the Netherlands and in Amsterdam in general. And I told some jokes about locking my bike and being a tourist and standing in the rain. If you know Holland, it rains all the time. And I didn't know it was a contest because of the language barrier. And I won the contest. I got won $100 or something. And then people were like, "Oh, you're a stand-up comedian. Will you come do 20 minutes at my show?" And I wasn't a stand-up comedian. I was an actor, but I loved it. And so I said yes, and like an improv, and went home
Mhm.
and sort of started writing. So it happened by accident. I've done it ever since. I took not really a hiatus, but I couldn't do as much of it. I was a public school theater teacher, drama teacher for 20 years in the public schools here in New York City. So the comedy was kind of falling to the side because teaching is not a day job. Teaching is an all encompassing, life dedication kind of job. And then I decided, about 5 years ago that I would just retire early from teaching, make a living another way, and get back into comedy. And I'm so glad I did because I'd missed it. And you really, I mean, like you have to go all in
Yeah.
or to get anywhere. And it's
Yeah.
every comedian I know works like 2 or 3 day jobs, and it's just you just have to make it work. It's hard.
It's a grind, but
It's hard. Yeah.
it's hard. But I think the thing is like we get so much out of it that it's worth it. So I want to ask you about what makes it worth it for you.
It's such a good question because I probably ask myself that every day because it is such a grind, and the older you get, it's harder to do. Like stamina. It's
Yeah.
just harder. Oh gosh, what makes it worth it now? It's changed. I think it used to be more about attention and affirmation. Now, for me, it's about visibility and activating my voice, especially right now where we are in the United States.
Right.
Hmm.
And right, activating. Well, I know you. I think you're one of your like branding labels, and this is a bad way to phrase it, but like you're the. Did you say something about I'm your favorite lesbian aunt or something
Oh,
like
it's not a bad way to phrase it. Yeah, it's on my social media. Yeah, I love to be the favorite. I call myself the fun lesbian aunt you always wanted.
Yeah.
So as a teacher and a comedian, I try to make myself very approachable to my audience. I've always been out. I've always written about being an out lesbian, even starting in the 90s. I was told in the 90s not to do that. I ignored that. I went forward and kept going. The world has changed a lot since then. It has also not changed in some ways. So I'm very upfront about that. And I find that it really, really bridges gaps with people. And people will approach me and talk to me about their fun lesbian aunt or about their sister. Or, it's not just for queer people, it's for everyone. Its visibility is for everyone. Everyone benefits.
Do you think like that visibility is about being seen, or what does that mean to you?
It's another really great question. I think visibility is about being seen, but it's also about the audience being seen. So
Do you
seen,
make them feel seen?
that's why they're there. I mean, they may not realize it, but people come to comedy to see themselves. And some of
Yeah.
the greatest advice I got I've had many wonderful comedian mentors over the years. One of them being Keith Johnstone, who was known for improv from Canada. He said the audience actually wants to see you fail, not because they're cruel, but because then they don't have to. And then they can live through whatever vulnerability you're putting out there on stage so they can feel it too, but they're not taking the same risk that you are to do it in front of them. So whether it be not necessarily bomb at your comedy, but just talk about the things in life that have been hard and that are hard. And people go there to laugh and they go there to drink, but I don't think they always realize that they're actually also there to heal.
You know what? I think this is about what makes humor, like the psychology. Because I read a book about the psychology of humor. Basically, it's like a 500 page tome sort of thing.
Wow. Nice.
And it says that people want to feel superior to laugh. So we as comics, as we stand on, that's why self-deprecation jokes work so well. Every time I tell a self-deprecation joke, that the audience would roar, right? Like, you don't want to brag about whatever achievement
you're giving them permission to fail also. So if you can talk about your failures on stage, then they can feel okay about whatever is failing in their life right now. Because let's face it, if you're in a comedy club, you're there for a reason. You need to let go of something. You need to escape. Theater's different. I'm a theater person, so theater has a different kind of escape. But comedy, is a very special, unique audience. And I talk to people all the time. I'm always promoting my comedy, which we have to do, right?
Yeah.
And I meet people every day like, oh, I love comedy. I go all the time. And I ask them, why do you go? And they go, well, especially lately, they're like, I need to laugh right now. I won't be able to cope with the world.
Exactly what I was told. I was like, people come to see my shows because they need an escape. Right. And then they also don't want to do it because we are really taking a risk, but they are not they're just laughing with us or sometimes laughing at us, and both laughs are okay.
Yeah.
As long as you get a laugh, whatever
as long as we're okay with ourselves, right? I worry about comedians who aren't taking care of themselves, because then you are getting laughed at, or you are self-deprecating and you are devaluing yourself. And that can be very dangerous in life off stage. Yeah. But if you have a handle on that, then you can do it with the audience, and you can all feel some release.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how has comedy healed you? Well, we right before we got on live, we were just talking about our narcissistic parents. But like,
that's a hard word. It's like Mississippi. It's a hard word to say. Yes, we were, and I talk about them in my set for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You sent me these questions beforehand, so I've been reflecting on them, and I don't know if I think enough about how much comedy has helped me heal. Mm-hmm. But when I reflected on it, I thought back to that time in Amsterdam that I just mentioned. I was probably a year or two out of the closet. I had a very traumatic coming out. I'm from a very conservative family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think comedy just kind of found me and said, this is going to help you. This is going to help you get whole again and find your way. So I feel like it's been healing me all along. And then, life continues going on. Life doesn't get easier. It gets harder, in my opinion. So, the longer you live, if you're lucky to live long, there are more things to process. My parents are getting older. So, I'm getting older. So comedy is healing me all the time. And sometimes when I write my sets before I put them on stage, I find myself in a very emotional and vulnerable state because I think I'm releasing pain. I mean, everyone has their own definition of comedy. We could talk about that all day, right? Yeah. There's so many comedians. It's so incredibly subjective. My comedy is autobiographical and narrative. And my definition of comedy is pain plus time. So when I go through something painful, you can write jokes about it right away. Some people do. I need to take a little time, and then I can write that material. But still, sometimes it really evokes the pain. So it's healing me all the time, just through the process of making it and continuing to do it.
The pain plus time thing, is it in the comic toolbox, or I've seen it in one.
I heard it somewhere, and it just resonated with me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's how I write comedy. Like, I won't write, and people are different. Some people write about it right away. They go talk about it that night. But for me, I process it, and then it goes into my show, and then it transforms and it heals me, and hopefully others as well. I mean, I do write about my parents, and a lot of people will come to me and say, I haven't written about my dad yet. I'm not sure if I want to. And, so they see the possibility of doing that, or they just relate, to having parents similar to mine, and then I also write a lot about being married. So there's a lot of things that people relate to there as well. I'm in an interracial marriage. So there, anything you're writing about, someone's going to find it relatable.
Yeah.
I know you write about your pets, right? Or you're being a pet owner. And that
I don't write about my dog that much. See, the thing is, like, I probably have a few bits about my dog, but it's more like, how my dog is my best dating app ever.
I love that joke. And it's I hear that from so many women. It's true. But again, like another huge topic. So yeah, comedy, I don't think I realized until you asked me the question, has been healing me the whole time.
Yeah, it's how I got into comedy is really like I went through a breakup and I had nothing better to do because suddenly I had all this time and there was like this void that I needed to fill. Right, so like I went to an open mic and that's where I had no idea what stand up. Well, I did not watch any stand up. I was completely unaware, but I was an actor. I was doing a whole bunch of theater, but just like you said, theater and those are different. Like theater in theater, you are in a role. You are living the vision of the playwright and the director,
Yes.
right? Whereas in stand-up, you're your own director, you're your own playwright, you're your own actor,
You're your own producer, you're all of it.
you're all of it. And the thing is that you're also dealing with the most vulnerable, painful, and truthful part of yourself that maybe sometimes your family don't understand. That's why we need a stage as a creative outlet, because our families don't understand and we don't feel seen or understood by our parents.
Right. And it depends. Like some people do observational comedy and they stay away from that, and that's a choice. For me, that was the gateway, is to be able to understand the family that I came from. I'm an only daughter coming out as queer. And then as life goes on, just trying to now to understand menopause and to laugh about that.
Mm-hmm.
And because every decade brings new challenges, new things. Life is completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting, I didn't know that you were an actor, because it's a really interesting comparison with theater. Because theater, you usually get a schedule, you know what your role is, you know what time rehearsal is. Stand up can be very loose. Like you can show and be like, oh, you're not sixth, you're seventh. Oh, you're doing this many minutes. That was really hard for me in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because I was so used to being scheduled as a theater person and having like a set time that I would be on stage. But I also I love being in someone's play, and I love doing the vision of the director as well, and embodying a character. And I do a lot of characters in my stand up from my acting background. I do my mom, I do my dad, I do my wife. I do, people on the street or whatever. So I like character work. But what I love about stand up versus theater, especially as a woman, is I get to write the content. I
Yeah.
get to write it. And I love that part of it. That's what I think what really makes it worth it to me, is that I can write the script.
Yeah. And that gives you a lot of agency. I think that's the
Yeah.
first. And it's I love to see other people's writings too. Like when I was very active in acting, I still occasionally do acting. It's just not my priority right now. But like I did a show in Louisiana right before the pandemic, and that was such a brilliant play, and I got so much out of it. But the thing is, like, I was only living this one part, this one actor, one character. But then to me, it's like, okay, this is a part that I can embody. But how about all my other aspects of me, like all other pieces of me?
Mm-hmm.
And especially, I think with actors, is that we get cast as something that is it's already obvious to us.
Oh yeah.
But with comedy, we are constantly discovering something that is probably subconscious or even unconscious, and then we dig it up and then we bring it out, and then
Yes, exactly. Because we're not being typecast, right?
exactly,
We're
yeah,
casting ourselves.
yeah.
And one of the reasons I think I went to solo performance in comedy is because when I was an actor fresh out of college with my degree, I didn't go to Hollywood or LA. That's a choice I could have made, and that's a totally valid choice. I just didn't want to be told, how much to weigh and what my hair should look like. And I wasn't interested in any of that. I wanted to write my own stories. I wanted
Mhm,
to, or at least tell stories
mhm.
that I wanted to tell, whether it be with a playwright that I like or this play that I like. But then once I got on comedy, I teach comedy also. So I tell my students who work with me, I say, if you don't like to write, then you're in the wrong room. Because to me, comedy is like, the writing is like 85, 90% of what we do. Just like, like you said, digging in for that joke, that what are those 3 words I need here to get that punchline? I find that fascinating. And in comedy, for me versus theater, I do miss my scene partners sometimes. Like I miss ensemble and rehearsal and all of that. But in comedy, the scene partner is the audience. Like that's your scene partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that you said that, because I know that I have a tendency. I love writing, although it's my second language, but like I'm just like grinding and everything. But in terms of connecting to the audience, that is something that I realize that when I get on stage, really the focus, it's not like I shouldn't really be thinking about myself. It's all about a service. And I think that's how I always get in my head. It's like, oh, are they gonna laugh at this? Are they gonna find this funny? The moment you start thinking about that, the moment you stop connecting with them. When it's really about connecting with the audience and bringing out your truth, hoping that they will meet you halfway, at least.
Right. And how do you let go of the ego when it's just you standing up there, totally vulnerable? Like, this is what I think is amusing or funny. I hope you do too. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
It took me many, many, many months, maybe even a couple of years, to even think about crowd work, because I was so terrified to be up there and memorize my script that I'd written for myself that I don't think I even looked at the audience much when
Mhm.
because as an actor, you have the fourth wall, and with the comedian, you don't have it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that, and that brings me back to the failure thing. Like if you're going to fail on stage or fail in life, you're doing it completely raw in comedy. And that's the other thing I've really been thinking about lately
Mhm.
is that so many people have been saying to me in the last 6 months, right, since the huge shift in our country, and we're talking in the US if folks are watching, but people have been talking about how much they need comedy now and how acute that need is, and how they feel like comedians are therapists. And then of course I say, well, please pay us like therapists then. But I don't think enough people are talking about what a heavy lift it is to be a comedian right now,
Mhm.
because we are all processing the same news of the day, but comedians have to process it faster and more expediently to make it funny for those of the rest of us who are also in despair, if they
Yeah.
are despairing about the news right now.
Yeah.
And that is a really heavy lift, and that's very concerning for me about the mental health of comedians, because we have a job to do right now, which is to help us get through this, those of us who are suffering through this. But we are also suffering. We're living through it too. We're humans and citizens, but we have to be like, ha ha. How do you do that? I'm I don't know if you're struggling with that too, but I just I'm not going to ever stop doing comedy. I love it, but right now it feels particularly challenging.
I think the challenging part, because I don't talk too much about politics. I don't, and especially, I'm not a US citizen yet. I am a permanent resident, but most likely I am going to join citizenship, in the next 2, 3 years ish. And we don't know what the world will look like at that time. I mean, we're still going to be in Trump's America, but still.
Right.
So I don't talk too much about that. It's also just because I've been in the US for 11 years now.
Mhm.
And although many people cannot, or they say that I have a very slight accent and this and that, and they would think that I grew up here, I just never truly felt belong in a way. I do feel more American than Chinese, but still, like, there's that sense of like, is this where I really belong? Like, where exactly do I belong?
Mm.
And I also don't think that I belong anywhere. Like, I can't put a label. I can't just say, oh, well, yeah, ethnically I'm Chinese, but also I don't feel Chinese. Maybe I feel American, but do I really feel American? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just a world citizen, but then I also connect deeply with animals more than with humans. So like, what am I? Like, I just have all these sorts of like philosophical questions haunting me every day. Like, that's what
Yeah.
so
Well, and fabulous questions for comedy, if you ask me. I mean, whether or not you do them on stage, just as a writer, et cetera, to explore.
right.
And yeah, and I agree. Like, even I don't do really any politics. I never have in the 30 years I've been doing comedy. It just
Yeah.
doesn't draw me. But even so, I think just taking in the news of the day, just as a person living here right now, And then, like going to do a show tonight and be like, haha, it just feels really, really like this, it's just like, wow, that feels like a really like tough stretch, right? To like
Mm,
whatever I'm digesting from the day, just life in general, and where I'm living right now and the news of
mhm.
the day. And then just going into and just to turn it off and be like, it's my mom, it's and I just, for whoever's listening, I just want to remind people that, being a comedian, whatever we're doing to help you heal right now and help you laugh, like just keep in mind, that we're doing it at the same time. It's really hard. Yeah. So please Venmo us.
Please make a donation. Please buy us
Please
a
Venmo
coffee.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I do think that we get more out of this, because you also watch comedy. I watch comedy too. We have to do that because otherwise, that's how you get inspired. But I do feel like I get more out of doing a show than I would say equally. But like now that I've been doing this for a little over a year, I would say, and I'm starting to realize, oh, you know what? I really the what I love doing the most is actually two things. Is one, refining a joke, and second is coming up with a loose idea and riffing it on stage, or
Mm.
even just get inspired on stage. Because sometimes, really, like the biggest laughs I got are really like off the cuff um, comments that I made.
Like you weren't expecting it.
No,
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, that's fine. It's the same way with life. If we plan too rigidly, like
Mm.
I need to hit this goal and this and that, we are going to suffer, and it will just lose its aliveness.
Yep.
And I think this is because I'm writing this book about, healing childhood trauma. And I have this quote saying that the opposite of trauma is actually not healing.
Mm.
It's either playing or play,
Oh, I love that.
or aliveness, which is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about
Because
recreating that
right,
aliveness.
coming back to life
Yeah,
through, through
yeah, yeah. It's
you know,
about
through
feeling alive.
having been buried by trauma. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that. And I mean, like what you were saying before about, being on stage and you're thinking about crowd work, right? But then you're also thinking about your set at the same time. So all those things you're holding simultaneously when you're on stage as a comic, right? Like, what's my next joke? But that person is responding. And, I heard something recently that when when you get booked and you're not being paid, which, at my level, is often, that try like 50% new material
yeah,
unless you're working something out. Think of it as an open mic,
yeah,
and like you said, to riff and see what happens and see, oh, I wasn't expecting a laugh there, or I wasn't expecting deadening silence there. And I love when comics, and as actors it's harder to do this when you're in a play, right? You can't break character, as you know, but as a comic you can say like, well, I guess that's not going to work. You can be upfront about when you don't do well, when a joke doesn't do well. You can tell your audience, and then we can all laugh about it. Like I have some friends who will come see me perform but don't like to go watch comedy because they're so nervous for the comic and they're so afraid the comic is going to bomb, that they as an audience member don't feel that they can relax and watch because they feel badly for the person if they're not doing well. So I've learned to just be like, unless I'm really doing like a booked set and I'm like, I'm delivering my set, I like to just say, oh, I guess that didn't work. I guess I'll skip that one. Because sometimes you write a joke and you're like, this is going to do great. And then it just doesn't. Yeah.
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 I Now I'm starting to, I actually did a show. Today is Thursday. I did a show on Monday, at the Sweet Bar on the Upper West Side. I go to mics there, and that's the Feminine Friends mic, and then
Oh,
they.
nice. I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's great. The host is Amy is my friend, and then so they invited me to do the show, and I was like, you know what? Every time I do a show, I'm like, I'm just doing all those jokes repeatedly, and I'm getting bored. And I felt bad about getting bored with my jokes. So, like actors, you're supposed to be doing a monologue a bazillion times, and you're not supposed to be.
Yeah. Right.
Like, but I want to think what's best for me. And maybe what's best for me, since I was not getting paid for the show anyways, I might just as well try random stuff.
Right.
And I tried a bit that I wrote the day, like on my way on the train there. I wrote something and I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm just going to throw it out there, and
Great.
they loved it.
Yeah.
And
And
then
you can keep it refined. Like you said, you like to refine it. So you're workshopping things. And
Workshop.
believe me, even 30 years in, I'm still workshopping things. Like I just filmed my first comedy special after all these years.
Yes, please talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about it. And I laid down that material, and now I'm already getting itchy for new material because I've been living with this material for such a long time. So I'm going to go ahead and hold this up.
Okay.
So this is my comedy special. It's called Miss Personality. And I filmed it in January, believe it or not. And I'm just finishing editing now. So for anyone who's making a comedy special, just know that it could take you 6 months to a year to get it all finished because, it's television. So it's cameras and editing and sound mixing and all of that. But I'm super, super proud of it. I filmed it in Palm Springs, California, because I have a big audience out there. I've spent some time in California. And I had enough people you do 2 shows a night. So I had enough people to fill the house. And they're like my home audience, right? They're like chosen family for me. So I did that deliberately. And the other thing that I'm really proud of, besides just laying down this material, and some of this material I've been doing for 30 years. I mean, some of it's been refined over the years. Some of it's a little bit newer, but it's kind of a greatest hits, right? It's my first special. It's getting that material. And now I have an archive of it forever. I mean, I hope that it goes streaming and all those good things. But then I also have it just as a legacy, really.
Mm.
But I was in a hurry to do it because I am in my 50s and time marches on. And I'm hoping it'll be my calling card because I'd like to do more shows nationally. So that's my goal. Is I've done a lot in New York and LA and a little bit in the East Coast, but I would like to get around the country and tour more. So I'm hoping this special will be seen by more people and open some doors for me.
So
But the
where's
process of
it?
filming it was just like incredible. And I hope to do a panel with the Women's Comedy Collective because I want anyone who wants to do this to learn from any of my mistakes. Because again, I'm a theater person. I'm not a film person. It has been, when I tell you, such a learning curve for me
Oh,
to work in this way.
I bet.
It's so different from live performance, right? Thinking about angles and what you're wearing and your hair and makeup and how to light the I mean, but I have an incredible team, and I made it a point to hire when I was getting this special together. So I've been working on it for almost 2 years now because you have to prep for it too. We filmed it in January. My team is entirely women or queer people, and that was important to me because especially with the cameras and the post production, it's mostly guys, and I'm sure the guys are great. But to me, it was very important to seek out women
Yeah.
and hire women. So if nothing happens with the special, which I hope it does,
Where can we see it, by the way?
I'm really proud of that. Certainly by the end of this year, I'm going to do some private screenings, definitely for Women's Comedy Collective.
Okay.
It's going to be, and then I am going to try to get it distributed and hopefully on places like Amazon and Roku. So stay tuned for that. But that's the next step after we wrap it. But it's been an incredible experience. I mean, it's exhausting and it's expensive and it's
That.
it's a big project, but it was time, and I'm really proud of it. So now I also perform it live. So the show's called Miss Personality. So simultaneously, while I'm wrapping the film version of it, I do it live around the country, just the same full hour that I filmed. So I'm doing that again November 15th in New York, and I'll let you know about that. I do.
Please,
Yeah,
please.
I do it right here in the East Village at a place called Pangea. Do you know
I
Pangea?
know that place. I've been there. I actually did a cabaret there.
Oh, so you know the back room there, the cabaret room.
Yeah. I did a cabaret there. I did a cabaret there before the pandemic, and then my friend Tiasha did her one-woman show there.
It's a really popular place for comedians and musicians. They're really good to us over there. Whenever you have your half hour ready, look them up because they love comedians and they treat you really well. So I have a residency there now. So I do up to 4 shows a year there, and it just keeps me writing and keeps me cooking. And it's in my neighborhood. I do like to commute.
Yes, that's fantastic. No, we will have to talk about that. I would just say, like, to wrap our conversation up, what is your biggest takeaway of your 30 years of doing comedy? How it has helped you feeling whole as a person, if you can sum it up in one sentence, and then tell us your favorite joke so far.
Oh, fantastic. So doing comedy for these 3 decades and how it's helped me become more whole as a person is it's helped me to have a sense of humor about myself and about life. And that has been so healing because I did have a lot of trauma growing up and I wasn't always willing to laugh at myself or at life. And this is a long sentence, I'm sorry. And and the biggest thing is that when I can heal and laugh at myself and laugh at life and release trauma through comedy, I have more compassion available for the people in my life, including my parents. And that to me is nothing short of a miracle. And comedy has a lot to do with that. My wife always says to me when I go on stage, wherever I'm going, open mic or paid show, she says, have fun because if you're having fun, they'll have fun. That's the job.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
She's right. She's right about most things. I have a joke about that, but that's not my favorite joke. I have so many, which I'm happy to report I have so many favorite jokes, but I did think about your question. And one of the ones I've been telling for 30 years that just works is I got a lot of funny questions when I came out in the 1990s. And people used to say to me in earnest, do you hate men? Like, no, that's straight women. I'm a gay woman. So that's, that's a joke that usually does well with most audiences. It's not really like something you like, it doesn't really apply to today, but it actually did happen. People really did believe that.
No, it's true. Straight women hate men. A lot of them do.
The truth is, as a gay woman, I don't think much about them.
Exactly. But you don't think much about them. There's no hate. Yeah, hate really comes from thinking too much. Overthinking.
And I'm a teacher. I'm here to help. So just to clarify, that's straight women. I'm a gay woman. Just so we're on the same page.
and I think that joke really works in so many contexts. Like people of different backgrounds. Like that's a universal joke.
I found it to be, and you don't know until you just got started, but 10 years from now, we can have another conversation and you'll see which of the jokes that you've written that can carry. Those are the, that's the goal. When you have a joke you can keep telling over the years. Wow, that's amazing.
I already know which jokes, based on that, based on.
Well, the dating app is timeless.
The dating app is timeless. I don't think we're going to get rid of dating apps anytime soon. The dating apps have a bad rap, but people are relying more on it. Unfortunately, this is just the world we live in right now. Yes. But also like my made in China joke that never fails, and especially with the tariffs and everything, I can add new, I can expand.
I know. And it's always great when we can look at horrible and difficult things happening and be like, I can make that funny.
And especially, I think, to me, how comedy has helped me, although I've only been doing this for doing stand-up for a little over a year, it's really that I'm not going to say that I have a shield. I feel like shield is the wrong word, but I do feel like I have a secret weapon in a way that no matter what life throws at me, I can at least try, even if I'm not funny at that moment, I can at least try to make it lighter. Levity is the first level, and then it's humor, and then it's comedy. Comedy is a sport, but levity is like basic movement. So if I can get to the level of levity, I'm on my way.
And a way of life, it's comedians, comedians who take care of themselves, right, and make sure that they don't become like these embittered, sad people. That happens, and I worry about them. But comedians can thrive because of all the trauma that we release, every time we perform. And it's an incredible privilege, I think, to be able to do that. And, as an actor, because you're an actor too, just, how to be on stage. And you've already done, as an actor, you've done the hardest thing, which is to do stand-up comedy. It is the hardest thing. And maybe some actors that I say that, but it really is.
It is. And
I meet many actors who won't do stand-up. No way.
I never thought about doing stand-up when I was acting. I was very happy as an actor. I was booking. I was, and then everybody said, "Oh, you have such a great look and personality and this and that." But then, just something was missing. Something was missing. I wasn't really, even if I could embody a character, that was not entirely me. I just got to a point where I figured, if I feel there's something missing, that's my job to figure out what's missing and how to, using your words, to feel whole again, because I think everybody is born whole, and now we lost those pieces of us. I'm not writing a book, but then this is Dr. Gabor Mate's Scattered Minds is something that I read this book back and forth for, it's so illuminating for me. And this is how he says, that ADD, right? Everybody's saying attention deficit disorder. He says it might as well be called attunement deficit disorder. And that attunement, what we're lacking, when we lack attunement when we were young children, that's when we feel we are not understood, we're not felt. And that's because our parents did not provide that kind of attunement. And the reason they were not providing that, I mean, they're human too, and they have to deal with stress.
Well, and they didn't know how.
They didn't know how exactly.
Nobody provided it for them, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that was it a Neil deGrasse? Wait, what's his name? The physicist. Neil Tyson. Oh my gosh, I need to look him up. Basically, the quote is like, the biggest thing, like the most dangerous thing, is that you know enough to think you're right, but you don't know enough to know you're wrong. And I'm like, oh, that's so right, you know. And that's where we're at, is like we want to know enough to know we're wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the process of, you know, personal development and evolution as a human being, to prove ourselves wrong all the time. And and that's what I love.
And maybe be willing to be wrong, you know, be willing to be vulnerable. I mean, I can't believe you've only been doing stand-up a year. I mean, that I thought for sure you've been in it for a while, because you're so like relaxed on stage.
Oh, thank you.
Right. I'm excited that you're doing it and that you're going to keep doing it.
I will keep doing it. I do have a lot on my plate, but, you know, I go do shows, I hit mics. I have a festival, the Ladies Room Festival, coming up. I just did the Comedy Mob Festival. I didn't win, but, you know, it's
yeah,
fun.
I do festivals too. It's great exposure. I don't think I've ever won or made it to Best of the Fest, but I do a lot of networking there. Tiffany Lee, who we work with, I actually
Tiffany,
know her in Burbank, even though we both live in New York. So festivals can be a great way to form your comedy community. Comedy is so lonely. You got to have your community.
I know. And, you know, be cheerleaders for each other. Like,
right.
I hate that. I think as actors, because we are often competing for the same part, especially, you know, like when I was actively pursuing acting, I was like keeping tabs on everybody who's my age and my type. And I'm like, oh, today I lost the part to this girl. Okay, I'm going to watch her and see how her career unfolds. Oh, you know, but then someone else lost a part to me. It's all about, there's a lot of competition going on with that.
Brutal. Yeah.
Brutal. But I think with comedy is like, we're all different, and we really should celebrate each other's success and diversity. And even if, let's just say, another Asian woman in her early 30s like me, or another Chinese woman, we still have very different experiences and different perspectives. And even we have, quote unquote, the similar type, we're still not the same.
Yeah.
And just ditch that mindset of,
that's a great thing to bring up, you know, because I struggle with that. And I do sometimes what I call compare and despair, because so much of our work happens on Instagram. So when I go to do my, you know, answer my messages or post about, you know, the promotion we have to all do as comedians who aren't, you know, working with an agent or whatever, not at that level yet. Anyway, when I'm on Instagram, I find myself being drawn to, oh, what's that and then I start to feel bad. I'm not booking enough shows, or I haven't gotten far enough. And so I'm really training myself just to sort of look at the messages and get off the app, because it's built that way for us to compete. So what I do when I'm feeling down about my career, and I'm not feeling like, because you know how it is, you apply for, it's like an actor, you apply for 90 gigs, you get one if you're lucky. Right? That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
What I'll do, and it's really been helping me, is I'll promote other comics. But like, okay, well, I'm not much is happening for me right now. That's really upsetting and disappointing. But it always makes me feel better to share something, you know, to help to get someone to someone else's show. And you're right. I think they want us to think that there's a deficit and there isn't enough for all of us, especially for women. And that is bullshit. Because when I did my comedy special, everyone's like, oh, how are you going to find a color correction person who's a woman? I said, I'm going to dig. I'm going to look. I'm going to look on women in media. People. It's just like when they talk about Asian actors, like, oh, we can't find. I'm like, bullshit. You just need to look for Asian actors. They're there. You know, you just have to maybe take a few more extra steps. So to me, it's like, yes, if I have the mindset that when we're all helping each other, we'll all get whatever it is that's coming to us. I love that.
Yeah.
That's very important. Yeah.
And I think that's why we really should inspire each other. I think, that's how that's like reflected on my social circles, is like I gravitate towards people who are inspiring. And then also I strive to be that inspirational version of me, and then people gravitate towards me because
Yes.
also, and that is how we foster this positive environment, and not just among artists, but also like in all kinds of relationships that I form. That is what I strive for.
Right, like abundance, right?
Abundance and
support,
yeah.
connectivity. I mean, it's comedians in general, it's artists in general. That's why I also love Lipstick Comedy and Women's Comedy Collective. That's how I met you. It's just like we can create these things for ourselves. We don't have to wait for the algorithm to give it to us.
No.
Because it's not set up for that.
Yeah, no. And even if you only make a difference, connect to one audience member. I think right now there's this one person who's watching us. I don't know who that is, but thanks for staying with us. But like, even if it's just one thing, I remember, because I read Zarna Garg's book, The American.
Yeah, me too.
Were you at the book launch?
I was.
Hey, I was. I was there. I was with a different friend, but
fabulous night.
Exactly. And what really, like, this, I had many takeaways from that. I actually have a YouTube video about the 10 things that I learned from her book. Nice. But I would say this one thing is that when she says she crossed 1 million followers on Instagram, she says, you don't get 1 million followers at once. You connect with one person at a time, 1 million times. And that is gold. For me, it's like, I don't even need to think about building whatever.
And then the way she would perform during the pandemic in a park for like 3 people. I mean, amazing.
That's
right?
So
amazing. And then you have to say, am I doing this for the accolades, for the likes, or am I doing it because I love comedy and I want to connect with people? Like I had a gig recently in the Berkshires in August up in Massachusetts, and I worked hard on promoting it, but I only got like 10 people. And I was, I could see when the show was about to start that I was going to have a small house, and the venue didn't do their job to promote, and it is what it is. And then I thought about Zarna, and I said, well, she used to perform for 8 people when she would book these big theaters and go on tour. I said, so now is the time for me to like dig in and be like, why do I love comedy? Well, and I did connect with some people, and I wrote to her about it on Instagram. I said, you really helped me get through that evening, because I was like really just focusing on the fact that I didn't have a crowd and I didn't feel like doing the show, and I felt like a failure. And I was like, F that. I'm going to give these 10 people who showed up at this barn a fabulous show.
Yeah.
But so that's so important, because those are all traps, right? Like, especially with the social media, the number of views, the number of likes. I mean, oh my gosh, take me back to middle school.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to know these things to help our career, but like, just when, like when you only have 10 people, when you only have one person, 1 or 2 people, you do the show for them. And I think,
and for yourself. Why are you doing it? You're doing it.
Exactly.
Right.
I think that's about building human connection, and just drop all ego related stuff.
Right. And ask yourself, why did I start doing this in the first place? And that's true of any art form. Like, why am I painting? Why am I acting?
Yeah.
Because the fact is that most of us don't get famous doing any of these things.
No.
So it's like the artist's way. It's like, why, go dropping back into, I do this because to heal, or to transform my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God.
It's a beautiful
conversation. I could talk to you all day.
I know. But
I can't wait to read your book. I'm so excited for whenever that comes out. It's just been I'm in the middle of like editing hell. So you are helping me to remember.
Oh, thank you.
I needed this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Send me the links to, I think I have your social links, but like, where can we follow your special and everything? I'll leave it in the description so that people can follow you, and I'll just keep having these conversations. And I also do a bunch of, inspirational videos myself. I don't even know if they're inspirational, but I love doing them. So
fabulous. I'll be a follower as well.
Thank you so much, Mina. I'll catch you on a show. Let me know about your November 15th show.
I sure will.
And I'll see you at a mic or at a show.
I'll see you very soon.
Happen very soon.
On stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mina.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. It was my pleasure.
All right.
Bye.